bitch.
Me.
Hello, my children.
Yeah. We gonna go to the ATL with this shit right here.
Places like Uber Creepy Scoop.
Dab on, 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 dab on that nigga like dab on, dab on, dab on, dab on.
Warning: Supernatural: The Crossroads contains adult language and discussions. If you're easily offended, do not continue to listen.
Oh, Dad. Oh, Dad. Oh, Dad.
I went to the crossroads. Down on my
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Supernatural: The Crossroads. I'm your host, Thomas Cowley. Joined with me today is Ryan Denton.
Yo.
We've got Michael Flores.
Hello.
And we have Avi joining us today as well.
Hello, boys.
Now, if you are new to our show, first of all, thank you for finding us. Thank you for giving us a listen. If you are interested in the show in the future, you can find us anywhere that you can find a podcast. So that's Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, various other platforms, as well as our own website, rainmandigitalmedia.com. Just be sure on those other platforms to search for The Crossroads. You'll find our show.
If you guys aren't new, you may be wondering why we're not doing the month of Ryan.
And that is because we've had, sound effect here, breaking news about Supernatural that we discussed as a group earlier today.
Yes, we did.
I think. Shit.
So Mike asked me if we could take a little detour from the month of Ryan, which I obliged because this breaking news.
Oh, thank you, my lord.
You're welcome.
For allowing us.
Thank you for actually acknowledging my month this time.
It's painful, but I'm trying.
No, so we decided to take a detour and talk about this breaking news because this is huge. Breaking news. This is big news, and so I said, we need to talk about this. So
yeah. And it's news that no one really, well, I say no one with like a massive air quotes, but no one really expected.
Yeah.
That just a few days ago, it was announced that Jensen and his wife, Danielle, will be working on a Supernatural prequel series called, at the moment,
Breaking News.
Called The Winchesters. The Supernatural prequel will be on the CW, and it is in pre-production in the works right now.
He's having way too much fun with it.
Wow. He's just mashing all the buttons.
He's having
right
a blast over there.
I'm super excited for this prequel announcement. I mean, it made my week. Like, this is what we've been asking for. This is what we've been pining after. This is like the one that got away. that one Heidi McGee that got away.
Did you hear she moved back into town? And you're like, what?
Yeah.
You're like, you get an instant erection.
Wow.
Yeah, she got
That's again
divorced
implied.
and she's moving back in with her parents.
This is the sequel to FBI I Love You.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's fucking awful.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was just, I listened to that earlier.
I absolutely felt like, I've had that situation. She moved back into town.
You went and got a haircut.
You slide in the DMs on Facebook. You're like, hey, what's up? I hear you're back in town.
And then she's like, you loser, still
this?
living in the same hometown, you loser.
Whoa.
What have I missed in the last 15 years?
I'm generalizing. Like,
you're generalizing. That wasn't about me.
We're like the Trinity. So any joke I make about you, I make it about myself and Thomas as well. We are one with these types of jokes.
We're the Holy Trinity.
Yeah, when we start getting into bits and making jokes, generally I'm meaning all of us. So
it's three-part sadness.
We're the person
to any
who,
joke.
Who we're like, who's that guy in Lana's in Superman, Lana's boyfriend who stayed in Smallville and lived off his football hype in high school and never really did anything else. He peaked in high school. That's us.
Oh.
And now
we're the guy in high school that was the jock. But then when we got older, we became a cop because we wanted that power, right? Yeah, that's us.
And we've never really done anything with our life since then.
Ever since then. Yeah.
So now, actuality, we have no chance of getting the girl who did come back into town.
The super like girl next door.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is becoming a therapy session for you two, more than anything
Thomas.
else.
Well, look, Thomas, we only go after girls. You have both that you have to go after. So
things are easier.
It's a little easier for you.
Well, the stereotypical
the
stereotypical bisexual joke: 2 times 0 is still 0.
That's true. What about 2? Never mind.
I was wondering where you were going to go with that. That's why I stopped. I really wanted to see where you were going to go with that.
All right, so we did get some news that apparently was the highlight of Mike's week.
It really was.
Which says a lot for all of us.
It really was.
It was the end of the week, too, so there was just 4 days of nothing good.
It was awful. It was hot. Everyone was swiping the opposite direction on my apps.
A lot of reds.
Yeah.
Which apps?
All the good ones.
All the good ones. Okay. Alrighty.
All right. So Deadline.com says Supernatural, one of the most important series in the history of the CW, is eyeing a comeback with a new iteration with prequel The Winchesters, centered on Dean and Sam Winchester's parents. The project, now in development at the network, is executive produced by Supernatural star Jensen, who will also reprise his Dean Winchester character as a narrator of the new show. And his wife, Danielle, will also be within the project here. The Winchesters, which has a script commitment, is written, executive produced by another Supernatural alum, former co-executive producer Robbie Thompson. Yay! Before Sam and Dean, there was John and Mary. Told from the perspective of narrator Gene? Who the hell's Gene? I'm dyslexic. Wow. Dean Winchester.
Is Gene
Gene Winchester. So that's
Gene
the long
it's
lost
Joe
brother.
And Dean together. I'm still on the month of Ryan.
Oh, wow.
So
Gene,
I apologize.
Gene was the one that died in the belly.
He was the stillbirth.
Dean took all of the nutrients.
Yeah. He was. It's like twins, only he just never came out.
Right. Gene died.
Gene. Poor Gene.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Gene.
The Winchesters is the epic untold love story of how John met Mary and how they put it all on the line to not only save their love but the entire world. Samantha Smith and Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Mary and John in the Supernatural. So
there better be some fucking.
Whoa! So this immediately raises some questions as well as sexual assignment.
Wait, what?
I can't talk.
What is wrong with you today?
Mike infected me with whatever makes it so that he can't talk.
First, you're super aggressive and just.
What do you mean can't talk? I can talk.
Yeah,
on Rain Man, you can't talk
because I'm drunk and high at the same time.
Well,
okay,
that's my
it's a horrible combination.
It's 1,000 degrees
the only
in
way
here.
I can get through that show. Okay,
So first he's so aggressive. Now he can't talk.
You know what it is? I've had a month, or not even a month, but a couple of weeks of not having to
run a
steer
show.
the ship.
So it only takes 2 weeks for you to completely lose all composure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Apparently.
That's fucking awful.
Well, life's a bitch and then you die.
He's so tall,
as my dad taught me.
and gravity affects him differently.
Oh, right.
It distorts his way of thinking, and
it does. Wow. It does.
Just the pressure continually
crushing down on him.
Yeah.
I can. Don't do the lyrics. I can barely handle not knocking over equipment on my way to the chair.
It's true.
So,
Man.
Now, this is exciting news, but I do immediately, as a fan, start to raise a lot of questions because John didn't know about Mary's supernatural family history until she was dead.
Yeah.
He had to learn all this stuff after she was dead. So how exactly this timeline will work is going to be a big question for me.
Yeah.
We know there's time travel, though. We know there's the ability to wipe memories. There's all kinds of things that could be done.
They can't start this show off with that, though, because that is a fucking hack maneuver. Hey, guys, time travel. You don't remember anything. We're going to change things.
Yeah, but you got to... Wasn't there an episode, for some reason, I want to say it was Asa Fox, that we found out that Mary didn't completely stop hunting after she married John.
Yep.
She would be
He
like,
just didn't know
I'm
about
going to
it.
get milk, babe. And then she would
Slaying
go
vampires.
just murder a vampire coven or nest.
Covered in blood. Also got the
All
milk.
right, I got the milk.
That's
It's
what I was-
skim,
that's
like
what
you
I-
like.
I see like skim. John Winchester wouldn't drink skim.
I don't know. I
That's
just
a pussy shit.
maybe he likes to be healthy, dude.
I got you soy milk. Is that next? John Winchester ain't drinking soy milk.
You don't
That's
know
true.
that.
People like me are drinking soy
You're
milk.
a soy milk. You're a soy milker for sure.
There is some loopholes within the canon that could allow for this story to work. It's just interesting because we know that wasn't a cornerstone of their relationship. It was something that was hidden from John, from Mary's perspective. It was something that he had to learn after the events of the pilot episode.
Yeah.
So I do wonder how that's going to work. However, if Robbie Thompson's involved and Jensen is involved, then I think they will be the kind of people to pay respect to that and not just erase whatever the fuck they feel like for the fuck of it.
That's how I feel about it. Obviously, because we're all big Supernatural fans,
Right.
we all immediately have feelings. We have concerns. We're nervous. What's going to happen? How are they going to do this? But the only reason why I feel okay about this is because Robbie Thompson should have been the showrunner after Carver, number one.
Right.
Yep.
Number two, Jensen is going to be the creative executive producer in charge.
He's not going to let anything.
He's not
happen.
going to bring back Supernatural in a prequel form and
and just
fuck
shit
it
on
up.
it and just shit.
He's
on
just not.
Right.
I have a feeling that this is going to be his baby, that he's going to make sure this works. And that's the reason why I'm confident with the series without even needing to know anything else.
it. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where like I'm perfectly content with the people that are in charge of this because that's the biggest concern. I mean, obviously we make a lot of jokes about the last couple seasons, but that's because we weren't confident in the person in charge. And I think with this, I'm confident that the people in charge actually give a shit about Supernatural
Yeah.
and actually know the Supernatural universe. And I think that's the most important thing for us. It's no different than anybody taking on a role. Okay, let's just say like John Bernthal. I'll use him for an example. The first thing he did when he got the Punisher role was go down to the comic book shop and buy everything Punisher he could possibly look at because he gave a shit about the role. Same thing with Benedict Cumberbatch. He went and bought everything he possibly could for Doctor Strange because he gave a shit about the role. And I think that's the type of person that we have. Obviously, Jensen gives a shit about Supernatural, you know, and I think and Robbie Thompson actually cares. So I think that's important to us as fans because they appreciate that we give a shit about those things.
Yeah.
And with Jensen and Robbie being in charge, I don't have a worry that we're not going to get the Supernatural universe done correctly.
Yeah.
And that's that's important to me.
And also, I feel like Jensen doesn't really give two shits about social media.
Nope.
Right.
Right.
And because of that,
He
I
won't be
feel
influenced
like
by it.
there'll be a disconnect from him and social media,
Which is
which
so important.
honestly, again, we say this quite often, but let me reiterate. The fandom on Twitter is a fraction of the actual overall audience.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And you have to stop listening to a very small fraction who are, for the most part, there are a lot of great people on Twitter. There are.
absolutely.
I'm not condemning people on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. But there is a lot of room for toxic behavior on Twitter.
Yep.
And I feel like when you go to that well, you're going to pull toxic water up from that well.
Oh, absolutely.
And I like the fact that Jensen will probably, more than likely, not really pay attention to all the fan wants and just focus on writing a good show. I don't want him listening to people like us. I don't want him listening to anyone. Do your show. There's no one that knows Supernatural better than Jensen, Jared, Eric Kripke, Gamble, and Carver.
Right.
And I would even say Robbie Thompson.
Yeah.
Have confidence in your ability to tell your tale.
Yep.
And fuck everything else.
I don't see, just from seeing all the stuff from Jensen at the conventions and stuff, I don't see him pandering to that. I don't see it at all. I don't see that happening. I see him telling the story with Robbie, that he wants to tell about Mary and John Winchester in those years that we have no idea what happened, because we don't. That's the best part about this. We don't know. We've never seen it. We've seen bits and pieces of it from the flashbacks or them going back, but we've never actually seen it 100%.
There's a lot of room there.
There's a lot. And I think, with this, it's very, 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 there's a lot of room for some pretty cool shit. And I don't see Jensen pandering to the Twitterverse. I just don't see it.
That was actually one of the things I was thinking about, is because my first thought was, oh dear God, there's only a finite amount of time before, John's world got turned upside down, and we know what happened.
And he left West Philadelphia, born and raised. Wow.
Yeah.
She said turned around. So.
But I mean, there is a good chunk of time, because we don't know how long they dated.
Right.
And then they have their life together up until Dean was 4 and Mary died. So that's at least 4, 5, 6 years of stories that they could tell. That's not bad.
No, not at all.
Yeah, the potential is definitely there. And I do think that having Jensen and Robbie be the main creative driving force behind this is in everyone's best interest, as well as the best interest of the project and anybody who's a fan of the subject material. And it's not just he wants to, be a creative influence. He's doing it the right way as far as Hollywood's concerned, and that's by being a producer on the project. Right. Going on with the article, it says Jensen and Daniil executive produce through their company, Chaos Machine Productions, which the duo launched last fall with an overall deal at Warner Brothers Television, the studio behind Supernatural, which is also producing The Winchesters. That fact alone, that he went about it through the proper channels, quote, for Hollywood, means that he'll have a lot more control.
Yeah.
And a lot less feed pushback from various other things. Now, there's always going to be studio pushback and various other interested parties, but being an executive producer is a mighty sword to wield in that fight.
Now, Thomas, there are some people out there that are voicing an opinion that it probably shouldn't have been on the CW, or people were hoping it wasn't going to be on the CW if Supernatural were to ever return. And I definitely listen. I agree that's a good argument.
Yeah.
I can't disagree. However, I'm wondering if ultimately Jensen decided to bring the show to CW because he knew he would have more creative control because of the rapport he has over 15 years with that network.
I think Thomas is right too. I think clout's another word to use, because you can't tell me that when he brought this pitch to them, they weren't chomping at the fucking obviously he could have went other places and they probably would have been interested, but not like fucking CW, where they just lost this show. And now they can get the clout, like you said, Thomas, of a show that runs off a already built fan base. And they were probably like, holy fuck, can we sign this right now? Like I can just see their eyes lighting up like, holy fuck, this could be a gold mine.
Right. And from the producer standpoint, who's more likely to give you a lot more resources and a lot less hands-on control? If you take this to something like, let's just shoot it out there, HBO, they're going to be like, okay, who are you? You're an actor. That's great. You got a couple of directing credits, but this is a show that was on a small network for, okay, great. We deal with Game of Thrones level budgets. Why should we trust you? That's not enough.
Right.
But if you say, hey, CW, remember the longest running show that's massively popular and has been keeping so much of your other stuff afloat for a long time?
Guess what?
And the guy who's a legend amongst the people there, I want to do something. They'll be like, absolutely, sir. Can I get you coffee as well? And that's the CEO telling him that he can get him coffee at that point.
Yes, I agree. And another reason why I feel like it's okay at this point is it's obvious if you're looking through the shows that the CW is producing lately, it's obvious that they're trying to make a change in the type of content, in the way of quality and pandering politics. They're definitely taking a turn. Like, if you check out shows like Stargirl, even later seasons or later episodes, I should say, of Walker has calmed the fuck down. with all the 75 agendas they can shove into one fucking episode. Superman, same thing. They're trying to focus on what really matters, which is the story, rather than how many political statements can we make, how many cheesy, young bullshit things, stereotypes, cliches can we throw in here for that younger demo. And we have said this for years now, that the CW has to change. Otherwise, they're going to fall apart because their shows are bringing in 300,000 viewers is what many of their shows are bringing in. Batwoman, 350,000. You might as well not even fucking air that show.
It doesn't even need to be a show.
350,000.
Just chuck it
Legends
on
of
the
Tomorrow, 400,000. The only show doing anything on that network are shows like Walker, because of Jared Padalecki's name, his connection to the network, and Superman and a couple others. For the most part, they're all well below 1 million viewers. So
which is considered low for a lot of actual network television shows.
Very low. And that's why I feel ultimately that the CW being the home for this prequel is probably going to be okay because of the recent trend I've seen on the CW.
Yep.
Now, the thing is, too, a lot of this has not been incredibly surprising at the same time. I did air quotes, that nobody saw this coming, but it's been something that Jensen has talked about for a little bit. The article says, after Supernatural wrapped its 15th season, we knew it wasn't over because, like we say in the show, nothing really ever ends, does it? Jensen told Deadline. When Daniil and I formed
my marriage ended. I mean, that definitely ended. So
yeah, I say mine did too.
Yeah.
So
not talking to you guys. You guys aren't part of that. Sorry.
Well, some things do end, Jensen.
Yeah, Jensen.
Unlike you two, go ahead and print a retraction. There we go.
We're Mike and I would appreciate a retraction or an apology, one of the two.
Yeah.
When Daniil and I formed Chaos Machine Productions, we knew the first story we wanted to tell was the story of John and Mary Winchester, or rather the supernatural origin story. I always felt like my character Dean would have wanted to know more about his parents' relationship and how it came to be. So I love the thought of having him take us on this journey. So this is one of those things that we fucking called it earlier. A lot of people gave us shit, frankly.
More than people actually know.
Yeah. More than we aired.
We don't really talk about drama a lot.
I mean, look, guys, I even kind of doubted it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I did.
Yeah, but we literally said this is what's going to happen. Jensen just started an overall deal with Warner Brothers. He's going to go do a job, which is The Boys, obviously. Mm-hmm. He's going to go do one or two jobs that's different.
Yep.
And then,
the Batman and The Boys.
And then he's going to come back with something supernatural related.
Here we are.
And here we are. Exactly how we said it.
And the timeline fits exactly how we said
Maybe
it would as well.
People will start listening.
It's just the deductive reasoning. If you can read between the lines and listen to the things people say and how they say it, their mannerisms, body language at conventions, you understand exactly what they're really not saying, but what they're actually saying.
What they're really not saying. That's a great way to put it.
Well, we talk about all the time. There's con quotes and then there's real shit.
And that's exactly what it is. Con quotes. It's not real. It is not real
at all.
I mean, how many shows do we have to watch where someone becomes famous and their PR or their publicist says, we need a statement? There's a difference between a planned statement, how they reveal information and how they go about things and how they drum up hype, and what really happens behind scenes. And again, like Mike said, it's not clairvoyance or even trying to sound smug. It's just, it's putting the pieces together. Knowing how some of this stuff works.
It's a little smug.
You know what?
Just a little smug.
No, you know what?
Like 10%
fuck
smug.
that. We're going to be smug. Y'all should start fucking listening to us.
Yeah.
We kind of know what the fuck we're talking about. We've been doing this for how long now?
We got chewed out. People saying, you don't know what you're talking about. Everything's great over there at the set of Supernatural. They're family. They love each other. No one's trying to get out of this show to start something new. No one's going to do this. And not only did they do exactly as we said, but then drama followed as well.
You know what? All those people that said that, y'all can suck my dick. How about that? Because
wow,
I hate that.
You have two?
Yes, my dick. Sorry, I meant to say plural. I
Pre-show,
hate
please.
that. Yeah, right. Exactly. I hate that we do that. Like this is what, like the fucking 5th time we've been right about something, and nobody comes back and major. And nobody comes back and says, "Oh, you know what? Fuck, sorry, God." Like I'm
a real dick.
Yeah, I'm sick
of
like
you know
that,
what?
dude.
My bad. None of that.
No, we never get that.
Well, and so the other thing too is like
And also pay attention to what other Supernatural people, what they tweet, because I mean, right after the finale, a fairly big name connected to the show tweeted things pertaining to Andrew Dabb shouldn't have been the showrunner.
I have that tweet
and Robbie
still.
Thompson should have been the showrunner.
I have that right here.
So
Shocker.
there was trouble in paradise, people.
Writing was on the wall.
Should I read that?
See, and that was one of the things I was thinking about whenever we were talking about the time between Supernatural ending and when the next thing would be, is I kind of also feel like part of it was you kind of had to let the dust settle.
Absolutely.
And kind of give everybody that worked on the show a chance
100%.
to go get a different job. So
Nobody
you didn't
gets-
necessarily have to hire them.
Nobody gets a second job in this business, in this climate, in this industry by saying, yeah, fuck everything and everyone I used to work with. Can I have another job, please? That doesn't happen. It's only, like we said, after the dust settles, as you just said, Avi, after years of time, we will figure out all of it. And like you said, Mike, the drama that has followed this incident, this news, is the smoking gun for so much of what we've said over the years.
Yeah.
I know we don't want to say these things, and it hurts our soul as fans that we want to believe that people are tight, and they probably are, but not as tight as
But here's the thing.
as perception.
I'm friends with coworkers. There's people I've worked on separate projects with. There's people who I consider friends that I work with. They're also not my family.
And it's also a business, and you need to protect your investments. I mean, look at another fandom, William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy. The world thought they were best friends in real life.
Yeah.
They're really Kirk and Spock. And then they were devastated when William Shatner didn't even go to Leonard Nimoy's funeral.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, guys, this is a business. They're not, they played best friends in a TV show, and they may be tight, they may be close, but they all have their own lives.
Yep.
And
They're called actors.
yes. So unfortunately, and we will get into
We'll get
into the drama in a minute. But first, Thomas, let's talk about the expectations that we have for this series. Like, what would we like to see? This is what we
That's
do
tough.
all the time when it comes to spinoff.
That one's
talk.
hard though.
So
Okay.
go ahead, Davey.
Well, I was going to say I don't really have expectations, but I do have questions.
Okay.
And this is just off the top of my head, going off of what we know from Supernatural. So we know we're going to get young John and young Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to get, oh my God, his name just left my head.
Young Bobby.
No, I don't think we'll get young Bobby. But
about
the
fake
guy that
Bobby?
played young
Matt Cohen.
the guy that Matt Cohen.
I feel like that's
Are
the
we-
only
It's the only
logical
option, right?
casting decision.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Right.
still looks
And
great, right?
I don't think he's all that busy either.
Oh, whoa.
He's watch out. He's gonna get on Twitter right now and tweet
Yeah.
you, AV.
Hashtag
That would be
coward.
actually amazing. I would laugh.
I actually just booked several soaps. Okay, so fuck you.
I'm supposed to be on Gilmore Girls.
So young Mary, I don't think
Show was canceled like 20 years ago.
I know. That's the whole point. That was the joke.
I don't think young Mary is so important to get that character back because she was played by a couple of different women. Are we going to get Mary's dad back?
Oh,
Ooh,
that dude doesn't.
That'd be awesome.
That dude doesn't fucking age.
He
doesn't,
really,
dude.
yeah,
I know,
he really
right?
doesn't. He really
X
does.
Files to Supernatural
He
to
looks the
Sons of
fucking same.
Anarchy. He looks the same.
He looks the same. I mean, he's in Walker right now too.
Looks the same.
Looks the same. I'm like, dude.
I hope I
what's
look
the
half that
fucking
good.
magic
His
you're
house
using?
is on
What
the
fucking
Fountain of Youth.
sorcery do you have, dude? Because I wish I looked that good.
Yeah,
He looks better than us in this room.
Probably.
He's twice our age.
yeah.
Yeah. That's not hard though.
So
I didn't say it was.
So I'll just go through the thoughts that I had. Also, are we going to get to see any of John's military career? Because he had just come back.
yeah,
So
I think that's necessary too.
I think there's a lot of things that you have. This is the hardest part about a prequel, doing it justice and making sure you tie all the dots together. We are going to be doing our retrospective on season 2, episode 19 here in a little bit. They talk about how this character Deacon saved their dad during the war.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a Deacon episode where this character shows up and you have these little references to things? You know, what time
Right.
period is half of this shit going to be considered in? I a lot of my questions come from how well they're going to tie it together versus what new and interesting routes are they going to go down. I have faith that between Jensen and his passion and Robbie and his passion for this, that the new and interesting will be new and interesting. My bigger concern is, how do you weave this together to the existing supernatural world in a way that's both satisfying and not retcon heavy, as we've seen in a lot of recent years, where they're just like, oh, fuck it.
No retcons at all. Yes, I don't want retcons. I don't feel like they're going to do that. That's not their goal. However, I do have a feeling that there's more of a strategy behind this than just simply, hey guys, here's a prequel. I also have a feeling that they're going to use this series to probably work out some of the kinks that appeared in the final season.
That's not a bad idea.
There are easy ways to possibly smooth out some of those plot holes in season 15 through this prequel if they're delicate about it or delicate with it. And I feel like that would be okay. They do something like that. I would feel like if you want this show to be relevant and not just something for the fans, you do need to. You have to go there. You can't pull back. You can't write this episode or this series thinking that, hey, you know what? If I write this might not fit completely right with Supernatural. And that's why this series needs to be completely strategized from beginning to end so that they know their boundaries. They know exactly where they're going to go and what they're going to do. And
major timeline events.
Yeah, and what they can't do.
Well, I was just going to say, so here are some things that we probably won't see. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Their grandfather. Because he was gone when John was small.
That's right.
Which means the Men of Letters won't be there.
Right.
We also won't have angels or demons.
Yep.
If we have demons, it'll be few and far between.
Demons will be rarities or the big bad for the whole show season arc kind of thing.
See, and that's going to be fun too, because we're going to get back to
threatening demons
are super powerful and the hunters are up to their eyeballs in shit.
Yeah. See, and I also, I think that's cool. I think that changes right there, completely changes the show. The fact that you cannot have angels involved because you're just not on Earth at this time.
Enochian magic like is Misha's out of a job again.
But he's time traveling, though. He could time travel there.
Oh, right. Yeah. He should show up.
I'd rather see Zachariah.
Wait, are we gonna get the episode where Dean travels back in time, but from the young Mary
but from
and
John and Mary? That'd be
to
legit.
The Future 2 style. That would be fucking awesome.
That'd be legit.
Would dig that. I would.
We see Jensen and Misha in the background.
Dude, are they gonna explain how John has a weird ass fever dream about 15 years in the future?
Oh yeah,
but it looks older.
Yeah. Hey boys,
he looks older
also
again.
Look more attractive.
I used to smoke cigarettes.
I definitely am the same age. I promise.
Couldn't even bother to throw a wig on.
Okay, so another thing that I
wait after Jared's wig. I'm glad they didn't.
Oh my god, that Party City spray paint.
That wasn't
job.
a wig. That was his genuine hair.
Yeah, but that was horrible. Fucking.
Someone took a can of spray paint from Party City.
Yeah.
How dare you be upset about
What's our makeup budget for the last episode? $1.95. Head down to Party City.
Yeah, I spent money on sandwiches. So.
Services.
Yeah. So I had to
makeup budget $200. Craft services $250,000.
Okay, so
sorry, we were
one thing that we have to do in this series, and this is the only thing that I'm going to be a stickler on, and this probably falls into the whole fan service side of things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see a revolving door of your favorites. This is
no thing.
Yeah. This is the series that you can finally prove to everyone that Supernatural can be so much more than just what we've been given for the last 15 years. Don't fall into those comfort zones. Don't fall into those characters that we've seen throughout the 15 years. Let those characters be special to that show and let this grow and be something entirely different. To be perfectly honest, I don't want any original characters or come again characters in this series other than the ones that make logical sense. Like of course Mary, John, possibly Bobby.
I think Bobby
Rufus.
Has to.
I mean, there are characters that do make sense, and those
Missouri Mosley.
Yeah, but if we find these creative ways to bring, and I love Rowena, but I mean, come on, no.
No, she can't.
Not even, and I love Misha, you know, I should say I love Castiel, and I don't want him in the series.
Nope, neither do I.
I think the only way Angels could make an appearance is if it's really iffy too, and this is just, they have time travel, yes, but it was still not something they just went back in time and changed things. It was more of like a stop-by visit sort of thing, and it was limiting. If there's something like that with characters we don't know are angels or are implied to be, but it's not fucking obvious as shit, and our main characters don't see them because they were not thought to be a reality.
Right.
For all of John's adult hunting life, for all of Joe, Helen would be a great one, or Ellen would be a great one to have show up.
Same thing as Jean.
Yeah, exactly.
Jean definitely will show up.
Ellen would be great. Her husband would be an interesting one. There's a couple of characters that timeline-wise would make sense. But like you said, the ones that are the fan favorites of today cannot be the ones who just find a reason to show up.
Thomas is like writing a generic, like, Mexican version of Supernatural.
I am.
He's like,
yes.
Gene and Dam. Like, they are our new characters.
Dude, I've had a fucking week.
And Tastiel.
Tastiel. It's funny. He sounds like he's making up characters that were like, you know how you can get like the fake Mexican, like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
you
literally just go to the swap meet and you get the generic version of toys.
Yeah.
It's like, instead of Iron Man, it's like Steel Man.
Steel Man.
Yeah.
Tin Dude.
Yeah. Oh man. But then it's actually the Hulk packaged in the packaging. Or bulk. Sorry, bulk. My bad.
I know some people have been bitching as well about even the main characters of the show being John and Mary Winchester, that those are characters that no one cares about.
That's not true.
I don't see how you can genuinely think those are characters no one cares about. There's a fucking angry subgroup of the fandom that hates John Winchester from their own perceived negative intentions around him.
Yeah.
Or a few things taking to almost zealot-like defense of Sam and Dean without understanding the context of a situation. But John is a fantastic character, as we've talked about in the Origins comic book series and the follow-up Rising Sun comic book series. Mary has a lot more demons that were slowly being unpacked before they shelved her as a character entirely. I don't see how anyone can think that they aren't interesting. Now, this may not have been your first choice. I know it wasn't my personal first choice.
It was none of our first choice. I mean, there are a dozen or more spinoff ideas that I can, spit out right now and be like, hey, listen, this is what I would like, but this is what we're being given, and I'm going to rally behind it because, unfortunately, I feel like, sure, Bloodlines was awful.
Yeah.
But the fans also destroyed that. And I would include ourselves in that mix, but it was awful. So who cares?
Right.
Then Wayward Sisters comes along, and it wasn't awful. It needed some work.
It wasn't strong enough.
It was rough, but it would have worked. It would have worked eventually. And unfortunately, the fan base, a good 50% of them on social media, just went to town on that pilot and took everyone to task. And it just came back as a dud because there was just no excitement. And I'm not going to put all that on the fans or the audience. A lot of it has to do with the producers and making decisions that might not have, been something that was fully thought out, meaning you probably should know your demo at this time. Like, what do people really want to see? But now time has passed. And I've said this before, that this is when a spinoff should work. And if this one doesn't work, if fans continue to bitch, continue to take sides in the whole Jared and Jensen thing and create this toxic environment, you know what's going to happen? The show's not going to be made, and Supernatural will be done forever.
Yep.
This is third chance here. And if this doesn't take, it's done. We're not going to try a fourth.
They're not going to try.
They're not going to try a fourth and a fifth time.
This shit's over.
So rally behind it, because even if this isn't your show per se that you really wanted, if this show does well, we will get more Supernatural. We will get more. If this doesn't fly, it's going to tell the networks that, okay, well, the jig is up.
Yeah,
nobody cares.
No one
anymore.
cares.
Yep.
So even if this
it's
isn't
the difference between Star Trek getting 4 or 5 shows,
right,
spin-offs of various different timelines and different characters within the same universe, or just the one and done.
Yep.
And that's the thing, is that, this isn't my first choice. I have the Twigs and Twine and Tasha Baines cliffhanger episode of what the fuck happened there with the witch brother and sister hunters.
Which one?
Right.
The Witcher.
The brother and sister, and she got killed, and he brought her back.
I was just being silly.
Oh.
I said which one?
That is a more interesting story to me. We all loved the idea of a Wild West supernatural with Samuel Colt. There's all kinds of things, but if we don't get, like you said, Mike, if we don't get one,
let's get the ball rolling, guys.
It's done.
Let's start expanding out this mythos. And there are those people as well on social media saying Supernatural should just end. It's over. It's dead. The last 6 years sucked anyways. Let the show die. The show's about Sam and Dean. It's over. And we have always been advocates on this show that Supernatural, yes, the show Supernatural is about Sam and Dean, but the world they created over the last 15 years is so rich.
Immense.
It's so rich with mythos that you can do anything within this world, and you can make a show that is interesting off these things that have nothing to do with Sam and Dean. And sure, Jensen and Jared fans that only watch the show because of them and that's it, they're not going to watch this. Sure. But guess what? There are many spinoffs that don't rely only on the fan base that's already there. Star Trek has always grown because each show would maybe bring in 30 or 40, at the most 50% of the original Star Trek fan base, and then they would build a new fan base. And that's how that franchise grew to be as big as it is 50 years later, because they kept building on those fan bases. And eventually people who are Star Trek fans who didn't like, say, Deep Space Nine or Voyager, eventually they actually go back and watch it because they like the next spinoff. And that's how you grow your franchise. So let this be that. Let the Winchesters be that show.
Yes.
And I feel like, and this is also me speaking to Jensen and Robbie too, like, don't worry about the fan base.
Ignore us.
Ignore us. Do your show, because you will find a new audience as well as a good portion of the original audience.
Yep.
Give us a good story that we can sink our teeth into.
Yep.
That's all we care about.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing. The original show did not have a built-in fan base. It originally launched in 2005, doing what it fucking wanted to do, and the people followed.
Yeah.
We can do that again. This idea that you have to adapt your story and your narrative to social media is foolhardy, and it is forever chasing the dragon. We as fans have too much say over significantly impactful story decisions. Stop listening to that. Tell the fucking
there's
story.
Too many opinions. You're never going to
make everyone happy, so don't try to do so.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and that's the thing. That's my biggest concern with that moving forward, because we're already seeing, like you said, the fans kind of choosing sides and possibly fucking things up before we even get a chance to really see what this could be.
That was an accident.
I feel like we're on TMZ.
All right. So before we get into that, guys, we want to make more content. We really do. We have a bunch of ideas. We have a bunch of things that we'd like to do, but we all have limitations. So if you want to help out Rain Man Digital and help us stay on the air, you can do so by pledging to our Patreon page. Patreon.com/RainManDigital. Get everything we do on Patreon, i.e. the video cast discussions on seasons 1 through whatever it is to catch up to. I think 9. Good Lord, we're getting there. Slowly but surely. We're currently on season 2. You can check out all of those retrospective discussions. We have the pre-show episodes that we do. We do bonus episodes, full separate hours of just additional content and more for just $10 a month. You can help support the network that allows us to do all of that stuff. And again, as we said, more than just that. Even a fraction of that, of our fan base that could help out in any way, is more powerful than you realize. We've also recently spent $8,000 on studio upgrades, and we've got a great live video feed set up now. We've actually got mood lighting. We've got various different body section cams and lights, as Ryan has been very adamant about showing
Go
off.
ahead and shake your legs right now.
Let's see.
Ryan.
Let me hold on. Let me look at that. Ooh, hold on. Let me just.
Is that called the duck maneuver, or is that a scissor? Or is that a form of scissor?
That's a scissor. That's a I'm gonna crush you with my thighs scissor.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. See, look at all these colors I got.
Thomas, is that a thing?
I don't. That's more of a lesbian thing.
Is
I
it?
would say.
Yes,
I don't.
it's a thing.
Okay, thank you. Amy.
Wait, hold on. Squeezing something between your legs? I mean, is that
No,
actually
scissoring is an
of
action.
course,
What
I
he's
know
doing is just
scissoring
this
is a
like
thing.
headlock thing.
What
that
am I, an infant?
I mean, if you come
know, are
really
you?
hard, you could headlock someone. Sure, whatever.
I mean, I know in GoldenEye, Famke, what's her name? Famke Janssen? I mean,
Janssen?
she was squeezing the hell out of Pierce Brosnan, and
I
that
wish
was
she
steamy.
Wish she could. Never mind.
But I don't.
This live read got off the rails. Anyway,
Oh, yeah, I forgot that's what we were doing.
Yeah, we were doing a live
Pop
read.
lock.
Like Jesus.
if you guys want to help, this is not helping our case, but if you guys want to help support all of that stuff, we have additional cameras and setup within here to allow us to do far more video content. And if you guys want to help out with that, you can pledge $15 a month and gain access to the live video feed and access to all the on-demand video the day after our show airs. You can catch live broadcasts, additional little episodes, various different things. And all of that helps not only this show, but the entire Rain Man Digital Network as a whole. So if you're interested, if you have any friends who are fans of Supernatural that you have not introduced to this show, shame on you, first of all. But we appreciate anything you guys can do. So if you're interested, head on over to patreon.com/RainmanDigital.
Yeah, because if we don't get those subscribers up, Thomas, I'm going to start cold calling people. Just randomly through the phone.
cold calling?
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
How do you want to help support your local podcast?
I'm going to open up a sales department, a whole entire telemarketing wing in the studio.
Either Mike will have to call you, or there will be an OnlyFans thing just for us to whore ourselves out for money.
I will. I'll do it.
Something is going to happen one way or
I'm
another.
bashful. I'm not doing OnlyFans.
You lie.
I know
I'm
you're
shy.
not.
You-
I know you're not.
You liar.
I'll have Ryan strip for me. He'll be
I'll
my
be a
proxy.
I
I'm gonna
wonder
be a
how much
stunt cock.
money
Yeah.
Ryan and the gang from Circle of Jerks could work. Legit, if like you guys legitimately did it, how much could you bring
I
in?
can bring in bank.
$5, $10 even.
Are you guys going to be fucking each other, or at least
No. No.
Because then you will bring in money, I'm sure.
No, they can do solo content.
Yeah, solo. I don't need to. I don't.
So jerking off in the studio together, like that type of thing, but
I
no
don't-
touching.
I don't know if together is on the table.
How much money you want to make?
All right.
I mean, I don't need.
let's get into
All right,
the
let's talk
controversy
about other controversy, not discussing things on our show.
Okay.
So we've beaten around the bush both on the pre-show and in this episode here. Unfortunately, as soon as this news broke, as soon as this fucking link went out from Jensen's official account,
I think it was like 5 minutes.
I think it was legitimately under an hour. There was a big old slap to the face, and things kind of, the mood was ruined when Jared Padalecki tweeted out some rather nasty comments about not being involved or not even knowing about the project as a whole. Now, Super Sleuth AV has done a fantastic job of screenshotting all of the tweets as they came across. So I want to thank you, AV, for that.
Yeah, so why don't we just put out all the evidence out there so that we're not criticized for...
Yeah, let's
We're not going to put any words in any mouths. We're going to read these tweets verbatim from the source.
This is
now,
going to be fun.
this is 2 hours after Jensen's Twitter released the Deadline article from Jared saying, quote...
Hold on, I'm not ready. Hold on.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Talk about something else. Give me 10 seconds.
What was that? What was that aggressive moan over there?
What? I was getting ready. I love controversy. It gets me kind of jacked up.
Here's the thing. This whole thing, I saw...
Go ahead and read Jared's tweet. Go ahead.
Okay.
Here we go.
So 2 hours after Jensen's tweet, Jared tweets, and I quote, "Dude, happy for you. Wish I heard about this some way other than Twitter. I'm excited to watch, but bummed that Sam Winchester had no involvement whatsoever." Again, 2 hours after the case. Shortly after that, people started jumping on this topic, naturally. One fan saying, quote, "This has got to be a bad joke. Hello at Jared at Jensen. This ain't it, sirs. We're freaking out." Jared.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. People can't fucking write in general.
This ain't what?
This ain't it, sirs. We're freaking out. It's not. They're hoping it's a joke, and it's not. So Jared responded, quote, "No, it's not. This is the first I've heard about it. I'm gutted." That was approximately 6 minutes after the first tweet. Then this is the controversial one. About a half hour after that, Jared tweeted at Robbie Thompson saying, "E2 Brute, wow, what a truly awful thing you've done. Hashtag bravo, you coward." For those who are not Shakespeare fans, E2 Brute is a line from Julius Caesar in which he says, "You too, Brutus," where he, as he's assassinated, is killed by his best friend.
He's betrayed.
It's betrayal. It's the knife in my back. He is calling out Robbie Thompson at this point, calling him a coward, and that he betrayed him. Now, this tweet was subsequently deleted.
I wonder why.
Shortly after. I don't have an exact time as to when that was. Now, let's pause right there, because then it changes tone.
Yeah. Okay. So, a couple things.
This fucking blew up.
Yeah. Now,
on the internet.
And this may be controversial and people may get mad at me. But I listen. That's what we do here.
Make people mad?
I'm a huge fan of Jared Padalecki. Always have been. He's been my favorite on Supernatural for years. I've said it on record, many shows. I've just connected with the character Sam more than Dean many times. There's no amount of backpedaling. Okay, so he's hurt, right? Now, he has every right to be hurt. I get that. If the fact that Jensen didn't tell him about what was happening with a spinoff related to Supernatural, I understand Jared's feelings. I get it. I understand it 100%. The thing that I don't understand is why you would ever get on social media and blast your alleged best friend and brother and then attack someone who's also allegedly one of your close friends, Robbie Thompson. That doesn't happen. We wouldn't dream of ever. We're not ever posting anything socially, publicly about any problems we've ever had about each other, because it just, you just don't do it.
No. And here's the thing that is very, very sad about this situation is that in general, when anybody does something like this, I don't give a shit how quick you are to delete it. I don't care. There is no going back from something like this. And it's no different than you getting drunk or you getting upset and you yelling and saying something that's hurtful towards someone that you can never take back.
Right.
And unfortunately, by doing this, not only does it make me look at Jared in a different light, it makes me look at him in a very immature way. And that's unfortunate, because I never would have wanted to put that on anybody that we cover on the show. But this was a very, very immature way of handling this situation. And like Mike said, I don't give a shit if I'm mad at Mike or Thomas or whatever. I would come in here the next day or whenever our next show is call and hash it out like we're supposed to, because there's no professional, there's no way of coming back from this professionally. And the other thing that really bugs me is that there's always that underlying tension now because I made a remark that I probably shouldn't have. And I don't want to come in because I consider Mike and Tom, these guys are my friends. I would hang out with them outside of doing this show. So I value what they think. So if I come in and I go on social media and just start fucking saying, oh, you know what, this show fucking sucks, I don't want to be on it anymore, without telling them, that's betraying you guys. And I feel like with this tweet, it wasn't Robbie Thompson didn't betray him. It was the reversal.
It makes me look at the entire Supernatural family outside of the show. Of course, this entire we're family, we're best friends, we're family. It just looks like a farce because, and I'm going to play both sides here, because why wouldn't Jensen tell Jared?
Yeah. See that, and that's the other double edge.
That's weird too. Why wouldn't Jensen say, "Hey, bro, guess what I'm fucking working on, dude"? Even if there's an NDA. Let's say he signed an NDA, he couldn't say anything. Fine, I understand that. But
when has that actually stopped?
Before the actual meeting, the actual meeting with Warner Brothers, why wasn't there a moment where Jensen said,
dude, here's what I want to do.
You're my boy. We are allegedly best friends and brothers. Why wouldn't you drop a text or a phone call? Why wouldn't it happen in a conversation naturally? Guess what I'm working on? Me and Danielle, we are working on this sequel, dude. I'm going to bring you on board or get you involved a little bit later.
It's not official yet, but this is what I want to do.
And that's what bugs me on the other side, because I don't care if NDAs are involved or whatever. Jensen is still going to tell Jared.
Right.
In my headcanon of their relationship as outside the show. Okay. Look, I've been working with you guys for 7 years doing this show. If I had something going on that I thought you guys would be interested in, even if I was like, hey, look, you guys cannot say a word to anyone.
Right.
Like, I would still tell you guys. And that's what on the other side bugs me, because there's no way that you don't tell someone. Like, there's no way that I wouldn't tell Bobby something that I have going on that I would think he'd be interested in.
In what world does this actually make sense?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It's the weirdest fucking thing. And that's why I'm so perturbed by this whole situation, because now it's like mommy smacked daddy.
It just doesn't seem real.
At the dinner table. For the first time at dinner table. And we're all just like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. and bringing it back to Jared now. Okay, if they were truly best friends and brothers,
he would have called.
He would have called them.
Yep.
Like, dude, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
Like, so if anything, the saddest thing about this entire thing is it showed us that their relationship is a business relationship.
Yep.
Sure, they're
or at least
they're
not as
buddies
close.
and they have had beers together. That's going to happen when
you've worked for 15 years.
That's going to happen naturally when you've worked with someone as long as they have.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't. It does make you look at things a little differently. I do not feel like they are as close as they like to say they are.
No.
At the conventions. And listen, I'm not upset about that, because this goes right back to us and what we say and how we don't get credit and we get slapped around for saying things that are more realistic. And we've said this. That set is a business.
It's not all sunshine and rainbows,
they may like who they work with, and they may connect with them at an intimate level at times. But at the end of the day, it is a job. And once that job's over, they go their separate ways.
Yep.
Sure, they may become pen pals and maintain some type of relationship. That would make sense as well. But the idea that they are brothers and the best of friends, that image is gone. And I feel like we're seeing how it really is, that they like each other, they care about each other, but it's not really how they...
And that, to me, is where the next tweets come into play, where it's trying to put a Band-Aid on something that you've already just stuck the knife in and twisted
ripped the lid off of.
Yep. Nope.
So here's the thing. So one, like you just said, Mike, it's a business too. How many of us have had a job where you were really good friends with someone at that job, but the second you quit or they quit and went to a different job, you don't see each other nearly as much? Your own personal life gets in the way. Your new job gets in the way. You live in a different fucking state or country in these cases. The fact of the matter is they had a good facade going. And I know that sounds really, really depressing, but it's this, if anything, is showing that to be kind of the case, because I cannot imagine a world in which, like Ryan said, we've only known each other half as long as they have known each other, and I would see something where it's like new spinoff of the Crossroads, and it's the new first time I've ever fucking heard of it, and I'd be like, dude, what? I wouldn't take to Twitter, and that is just makes things taste even worse.
Here's my thoughts on that. I think people, maybe they brush it off to the side. They don't realize it. They don't pay attention to it. This is not the first time that Jared
and that's
has
what I was going to
weaponized
next.
His social media.
Yep.
He has done it against companies, against hotels, against people. And a lot of times, or if not all the time, he gets people to rally behind him, Supernatural fans or whatever. And, they take his side because of, they agree with what he said. That's fine. But now I think he made the mistake, in my opinion, he made the mistake of trying to weaponize his social media, but he pointed it at Jensen and Robbie Thompson. And I don't think he quite realizes just how crazy and toxic
that is.
not only social media, but also the SPN family can be.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever he did that, I think honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that's why one of those tweets were deleted, was because people started coming at all of those people, because now you've divided the fandom between Jensen and Jared, and things got out of hand.
Well, so first of all,
that's what I hated the most.
Yeah.
Is that he weaponized his social media.
I feel like this is a mark of someone who's not entirely stable, and that's sad. And I know Jared has had problems. You know, he's not entirely healthy in the way of, you know, mental health. He's had issues, and I feel bad for him when it comes to that, but that's also not necessarily a justification either.
Well, dude, so this is the thing. It's not just the web. He has done the whole doxing people in businesses. He has weaponized his social media, but he's also gotten into physical altercations, not only with people on set, with such as headlocks and various wrestling that hurt his own shoulder, but he also got into that bar fight not too long ago.
Freaking got arrested for.
Got arrested. This
gangster.
This is more and more. And here's the thing, when we see that, it's kind of funny. We can joke at it, or it's like, oh, you know, things got out of hand. He must have been the superhero vigilante who got wrongfully arrested in the bar. But the second that something didn't go his way, he turns the social media attitude gun on his quote best friend.
Yep.
That makes you look at him very differently, like a child, frankly. It's immature, it's not professional, and it's not a good look.
Now, setting aside the whole social media aspect and just looking at what this says about their relationship, I don't look at it as a negative necessarily. I'm not upset at them for not being the best of friends necessarily, because it goes right back to what we always say. This is a business, so these things are par for the course. I get it and I understand it, but I feel like now that image or that perception has been broken, it's going to be really hard to get people to fully buy into this family mentality. I don't think there's coming back from this.
Yeah.
One of my first thoughts after all of this happened was, boy, these conventions are going to be really interesting the next couple of months.
Maybe I said that before we went on air. I was like, man, the conventions are going to be super awkward.
Yep.
You know,
why would Jared blow up his spot like that?
I think he didn't realize. I think this was, like I said on the pre-show, I think this was acting without thinking. And then here's how I imagine it, dude. He sends an angry tweet in the middle of his rage, which is clearly something, and I'm not trying to sound like an asshole, but it seems like something he's had issues with before in the past.
Yep.
Right.
And then he gets a phone call from Jensen probably saying, dude, you need to calm down because you need to think about what you just fucking did.
Right. And this is really what happened.
And then we had some of these other tweets come out.
I'm sorry, but that's not a mark of a stable person who's willing to throw out 15 years of investment into a business that has created a lifestyle for himself, his family, and not just him, others, Jensen. And you're running the risk when you do stuff like that
of tanking his whole new project,
destroying not just this future project, but also any potential residual income that may come in from Supernatural, because it could have hurt the conventions. It could have hurt their relationship indefinitely.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's willing to throw out 15 years of investing into this business that they have created together, it's beyond me.
Well, now also think about his current co-stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're going, wait a minute, if he's going to act like that to somebody that he's been with for 15 years, I've been working with this man for less than a year.
Yeah, what does that mean?
I have to be very careful.
And that's one of those things that we talked about a little bit on the pre-show that I alluded to with you, Avi. What does this mean for the relationships and the future of Supernatural? Not just the cons. I do think this will have a negative impact on the show. We've already seen fans try to select sides, Jensen v. Jared on this.
And Jensen versus Misha Collins. I mean,
correct.
Jensen was taken to task after the whole Castiel coming out of the closet thing.
Right.
Yep.
Now, the bigger thing, though, is I don't think in 2 years it'll necessarily hurt the show as it debuts. Maybe at least not that much, because it'll be some time for that wound to heal. But as we said here, Robbie, if you're Robbie Thompson and he calls you a coward and all this stuff, through social
not going to
media,
want to work with him.
you're never going to look at that relationship the same. Has he forever damaged his personal and professional relationships? Because, like you just said, Avi, the less important thing is the co-stars he's currently working with. The more important thing is all the producers and executive producers and studio heads who are going to look at, is this the kind of volatile person we want to sign for our next project?
Mm-hmm.
And that is career ending.
If he ever wanted to be involved with this show, he just fucked himself, in my opinion.
And how could you not think that you wouldn't be?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so the Jensen thing they can probably repair, but if I was Robbie Thompson, I would probably I'd probably would even call Jared because that's my personality. I'd be like, okay, you just called me on Twitter. I'm done with you. If you were that quick to call me a coward, number one, there was probably some animosity there. There had to be. You don't just do that
for no reason. Yeah.
Right. So if I was Robbie, I'd be like, I don't want to work with you.
We're done.
Relationship done.
Now, you're right. They probably will patch things up with him and Jensen, at least. And this is the one that makes me a little bit just sadder. The world lost a little bit of light with this whole thing as far as a Supernatural fan, because then you had these follow-up tweets from Jared. It was the next day. He says, quote, "Hey world, thank you for the love. Please don't send any hate or threats. I care deeply about everybody involved and would be in true misery if any of them were harmed or threatened." First of all, that feels incredibly disingenuous after some of the stuff he had just said. That's just how I feel about it. Then later, that same day, he says, quote, "At Jensen Ackles, I had a great talk, as we often do, and things are good. The show is early in the process with miles to go. We've traveled a lot of roads together, and sometimes those damn roads have bumps. Bumps don't stop us. Once brothers, always brothers. Hashtag SPN family."
Okay, so what was his goal? What was his goal then? Was his goal to get a
spot?
Was it his goal to get a job on a show that he probably was going to get a job on
Was
anyways?
it to simply lash out and tear down a friend and coworker? Because that feels like far more accurate, and that's sad. And go ahead.
My personal theory was that for whatever reason, Jensen didn't tell him about the show, and Deadline leaked it, and then of course Jensen and Daniil were having to do cleanup, like, well, fuck. Cat's out of the bag. Okay, yeah, we're doing this thing, right? And then Jared pitches a fit, doesn't call Jensen. And I actually said to some of the other listeners and co-hosts on the network, I said, I really hope this was a leak and that when Jared talks to Jensen, he figures that out and has to eat crow.
Yeah.
Because that's just...
Yeah.
It's just strange. The whole thing is bizarre. And it does suck.
So bizarre.
Ultimately, that's where I'm at with it, Thomas, is it just sucks because I liked thinking that this is all, roses. And I felt like they were on a permanent honeymoon,
At the very least, those two, regardless of their opinion on Dab or the writing room or how things have gone or various other people involved. Yeah. Or how close they were or were not with Rowena and other characters. We always believed, and it was a comforting, nice thought that at least those two, Jared and Jensen, were friends, brothers to the end kind of thing. And it's like the first sign of anything. This happened.
Yeah.
And it just, like I said, Jared's tweet feels disingenuous then.
Well, and Ryan calling it immature is spot on, in my opinion, because it feels like a spoiled brat throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. I mean, and it's unfortunate because I feel like it's shattered all of our, like...
The facade is broken.
Yeah.
The mirage is gone.
And for us, that's very important for these characters, at least...
It's been built into the fandom.
It's part of the fandom at this point.
And now, when you go to see, here's the thing that I'm
sorry, but I just won't believe it.
Yeah.
Like if they go out there hugging each other, I'm like, it's sorry, but you guys, this isn't how you guys truly feel.
Here's the thing that I wish. I know this probably won't happen at a Supernatural convention, but maybe somewhere else down the road, is that when they have a fan ask a question, there's always that one fan that asks a cringy question.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that happens about this.
I think it should be you.
Excuse me, guys.
Mr. Judson Apples.
I see you guys up there hugging and laughing with each other. But can you please explain to us the tweets that happened about a year ago that you guys clearly don't like each other? Because obviously Jensen decided to do the show with his woman.
Let us know the truth. Did some wife swapping go awry?
Yeah,
Did it
what
not work
happened?
out? Did Danielle like Jared
Jensen's
better?
dick bigger than yours, Jared, or what was it? Like, we really need to know because you guys are fucking faking it up there. Like, this is horseshit.
I know faking. Believe me.
Yeah, I've seen it with the girls that I have sex with.
Yes. Once again, implied.
I'm a nerd. I have to say it. That's the whole point. I agree with you, Mike. I think that's going to be the problem. And obviously, I don't think anyone's going to have the nuts to ask that question. But
I will.
Don't, because I don't want to.
They'll never let you.
Yeah, you'll never get that one.
I'm
out.
like, Jared, is it or is it not true
that you can't throw hands?
that you fucked up? Go ahead.
You done fucked up, JJ Rob.
I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Like, this isn't your convention, Mike. It is now.
It is now, motherfucker. I'm very disappointed. I think that's the biggest thing I take back from this is that I'm disappointed by this because as big as both of them are, I'm just going to say both. This is something that you could never do as in a fandom, in a
Pandora's
show.
box is open.
It is absolutely Pandora's box. Once you say these things as big as you are, that shit is instantly screenshot.
Yeah.
You are never getting away from it. And it is now forever on the internet. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, I don't give a shit how quick you delete something. It's getting screenshot and someone's going to have it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, now you look like an absolute dork for doing this. And I don't know where this leaves us. I really don't know where this leaves us. And it's scary to think about that because I don't want this to ruin the shot because this fucking thing sounds cool as shit.
Yeah.
I don't want this to ruin that.
Does anyone know if anybody on the cast or crew latched on and said anything like, Jesus, what the fuck's happening?
Here's the thing. I don't know if anybody did. I don't have any tweets.
Because if I was Rob Benedict, I would have assumed the identity of Chuck immediately
and
said,
next chapter.
Finally, it's working. They're going to kill each other.
Oh man, that actually
Gone meta with
I would have laughed.
That's if
that would have been amazing.
One of us, if we were a part of that group,
absolutely,
and our personalities, we would have done something like
gasoline
that.
on the fire.
Oh yeah, of course,
absolutely. Like you get okay. So if I'm like one of the guys, maybe I'm like 4th or 5th on the list of the show. I'm like Mark Shepard or
you don't
somebody.
got nothing to lose.
No, I'm throwing gas on the fire.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, Moose isn't going to punch Squirrel.
Yeah.
Like I would say something.
Taking bets now. Moose v Squirrel.
Yeah, exactly. Like I fuck it. I'd throw gas on the fire. I'm not on the show anymore. Who gives a shit? Like, and I'm not coming back for this show, so who cares? I just.
There are some people that have said that this was like a publicity stunt, possibly.
No way. Not a chance.
I don't.
It's too personal.
I thought about that for a while, but yes, it's too personal and it's horrible publicity. Like, why would you run the risk of destroying
publicity? Yeah.
Yeah.
When there's so many better ways that you could have gained publicity, especially with Supernatural, you don't need negative.
Yeah, like a dick pic. A dick pic should have leaked.
Oh, yeah, no. Like a Chris Evans thing.
Yeah, Jensen should have leaked his dick. Oh, shit.
Darn it.
By the way, I have
and then Jared accidentally does it. Oops.
Yeah. We have a spinoff as well.
Look, here's a Texas Ranger dick.
In fact, spinoff is written on the dick. Like, just spin off.
Cowboy
with
hat
Sharpie.
on it.
Spit off.
Oh God!
Wait, what?
Oh Jesus!
What?
Yeah, it's way too way too personal to be a publicity stunt.
Joke.
It's too aggressive.
It ain't no joke.
And he deleted Robbie Thompson's calling him a coward. Like that's the thing is that it's always going to be a little bit different now, and that's one of the problems of building your fan base around this.
Yeah.
We all love each other because the second that goes wrong, it undoes so much.
Yep.
And
that's a shame.
And that's why, yes, it does hurt a bit. But at the same time, we have always been those types of fans that we don't really care about the actors themselves. In fact, I think this is the most we've ever actually talked about Jensen Ackles as a person.
Yeah.
And Jared. We've always tried to stay away from that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, tell me news about Supernatural. That's what I care about. Tell me about the world of Supernatural. That's the fun stuff.
Yeah.
It's because we're a fan of the show.
Right.
And
I'm not there. Yeah, I'm not there for them. Like
no, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
they come out with something new, I'm going to watch it.
Yes.
I'm obviously,
We're all
of
gonna
course,
watch
on
it.
Twitter
Yeah,
and
of course.
support them in that way. But I didn't get into Supernatural and stick with it for 15 years because of the characters. Shut up.
No, that was genuine.
No, it's true. Like if you're
didn't.
only here for the actors and their personal lives, then you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
you got to be invested in the show as well.
If you look at social media and how they treat Jensen and Jared and Misha, that's what, in my opinion, a lot of the social media is about. They follow the people.
Yeah, it's possessive.
And not necessarily the show.
It's also very possessive. They claim ownership over these people, and then they feed into the toxic nature of social media, and they actually create bigger problems by taking sides when sides don't need to be taken.
Yep.
Right.
Like no one needed them to no one needed to defend Misha Collins and his coming out of the closet moment for Castiel. And then shift blame to Dean's or Jensen's alleged homophobia. That is on record. It's on record.
Yeah, that's complete.
Yeah,
not true.
I don't think those are Supernatural fans.
I think those are fans of those.
Those are drama fans,
actors, and are fans of drama, like you said, Ryan. Right. So overall, the thing is, the whole story is just very unfortunate mixed with very exciting, and that's why it says it feels like one of those you pop up because you're excited and immediately get
sounds
slapped
like
in the face.
my sex.
You pop up because you get excited.
Yeah.
Oh boy, and then she hits your dick.
Oh boy,
and then disappointed.
Mickey Mouse showed up.
Oh boy.
But
I got blue balls. Oh my God, Goofy's here.
I hope that it won't affect the show. I know we're a long time away from the show. I hope the fans. It's kind of like the problem with Twitter as a whole. I hope, and I say this with as much respect as I can. I hope all of us as fans, when it comes to picking sides in this and having a thought on every opinion, on every detail of every article that these guys are ever involved with, can just for like a day shut up about all of it. Just shut the fuck up.
Very aggressive.
And just let's enjoy Walker if you enjoy it. Enjoy Jensen on the boys. Let's hope the best for this Supernatural, because it is the only way. Like you said, Mike, this is Third Strike and we're out.
Yeah.
When it comes to spinoffs. Hopefully this can be something that allows the next Supernatural iteration like Star Trek, which would be phenomenal.
If you want that Men of Letters spinoff, support this one, and you never know, we may get it.
We might.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I hope that all of the dust will settle and we can calm down. But it does suck because it always will look, that pristine glass pane has a chip
That
in it.
lightning in the bottle.
Yeah.
There's a crack along the line of it.
Listen,
now.
she cheated. You know, you're always going to remember that. Even if you decide to work on it and move on, you're like, oh, you fucking had another dick in you. I remember.
Was it bigger than mine? It wasn't, was it?
Smaller, right?
Yeah,
yeah, tell me that.
Yeah, tell me.
Well,
lie to me.
Lie to me.
Do what Jared.
It's always going to be a little bit different now, which does suck.
Yeah.
Well.
So with that, one more time, guys, remember, if you are fans of this show, if you are fans of the Crossroads, if you want more Crossroads content, fun, shenanigans, and if you didn't get some of the things that we were talking about, because we did make some allusions to it earlier, subscribe to our Patreon page and you can gain access to our pre-shows, where before every single podcast episode, we just have the audio going and we just talk about various different things. Sometimes it's content based on the episode we're doing. Sometimes it's shooting the shit about random things that affected us that day, or our opinions and takes on stuff.
And then Supernatural, veers in somehow. Topic-wise.
Usually,
somehow it makes its way in there, yeah.
And all those topics are there for your entertainment. Hopefully you enjoy them, and it helps support
and
us
our embarrassment
as well. And our embarrassment. And it's things that we don't usually have time to get into on the regular show.
Yeah.
So if you're a fan of that, head on over to patreon.com/RainmanDigital. Subscribe to the $3 tier to get all that behind-the-scenes content. Or you can pay $30 for the entire year to gain access and help us stay on the air for the foreseeable future. So thank you all very much. And in our own way, I want to say, Ryan, I feel betrayed and you're a coward. I don't know. I'm just running with it.
Yeah, well,
right now. I'm going to delete that part later.
Yeah, well, you know what? We're not going to have a conversation, so fuck you, Thomas.
Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
You little maggot. you're no longer a part of this story. Hey, ass butt.
Do you think Jensen said that to Jared?
I hope so. God, I hope so.
I would give anything to hear that phone call.
Bitch.